Greetings. My name is Abebe, speaking on behalf of Ethiopian Hearts for Peace. And today I bring forward a message not of division but of truth, peace, and stability for Eritrea, Ethiopia, and the entire Horn of Africa. We are at a crossroads where the decision we make will determine not just our survival, but our ability to thrive as independent nations, free from foreign control. Number one, the illusion of sovereignty. Are we really free? That is a question everyone must ask. Many of us believe our nations are sovereign, yet our economies are dictated by foreign entities. Sanctions, trade restrictions, and financial dependencies have kept us weak and divided. Who truly benefits from Eritrea and Ethiopia remaining isolated or in conflict? Not our people, but foreign actors who seek control over the Red Sea trade routes and our natural resources. Number two, the hidden war. It is so hidden you don't even know it is there. It's a strategy. I call it economic sabotage and divide and conquer strategies. Ethiopia and Eritrea have both suffered under foreign economic manipulations. External forces push us towards conflict, knowing that a divided region is easier to control. Look at Sudan, Somalia, Libya. Now South Sudan is about to start another war. Burundi and Rwanda is about to start war. Rwanda and Zaire has a war. Uganda is about to get involved with South Sudan factions war like matters. What happened when internal conflicts were fueled by foreign interests, you may ask? It is destruction, dependency, and loss of national identity. Now, the same game is being played against Ethiopia and Eritrea right now. So, number three, what should Eritrea's strategic role should be? Why stability is the best defense there? Eritrea sits on one of the most important geopolitical zones of the Red Sea. Nobody should argue with this. Major powers, be it US, meaning United States, China, and Gulf states, all want control over this corridor. So far, it's only Eritrea that doesn't allow these nations to build a corridor there. Meaning it's independent. Isolated, yes, but it learned to live by its own means. So, a war between Eritrea and Ethiopia will only invite foreign militarization, just like Libya and Somalia. Instead of war, Eritrea should position itself as a key economic and security partner in the region, not only for Ethiopia. leading rather than being dragged into unnecessary conflicts. I am absolutely sure my Eritrean colleagues agree with this. But why Ethiopian Prime Minister is pushing for war right now, I don't understand it. Anyways, number 4. Here's a proposal for Eritrea and Ethiopia. It's an alternative to war. A new Horn of Africa alliance must be formed. Eritrea and Ethiopia should move away from war and towards a security and economic pact that strengthens regional independence and form economic unity. Instead of fighting, both nations could develop ports, trade routes, and industrial zones, keeping foreign control out. Imagine a road going from Eritrean ports all the way to Zaire, all the way to West Africa, all the way to South Africa. There is immense potential there. So there has to be a military non-aggression pact there. It's a regional security pact, I'm saying, where Ethiopia and Eritrea protect each other from external threats rather than weakening each other through internal conflict. Imagine if this war go through and the two go heads on. From both sides, there will be casualties. Each believing that their cause is justifiable. It is the same people. I don't care the propaganda, the rhetoric, and all other historical revisions. But the people of Ethiopia today don't need another war. Eritreans don't want and don't need any war. There need to be a truth and stability here. Recognizing the historical wounds between Eritrea and Ethiopia is necessary. You can dwarf Ethiopian history to 100 years, or you can tarnish Eritrean history in any way you want, but it doesn't bring peace. So peace and cooperation offer a better future than war. Think about it. Number 5, let's take a look at the bigger picture. Who really wins if we fight? We, I mean, because I am also Ethiopian born. If Eritrea and Ethiopia go to war, our people will die, our economies will collapse, and foreign powers will move in to dictate our futures. The Red Sea will be militarized by external forces, and neither Eritrea nor Ethiopia will have control over their own destiny. I don't know what kind of fool Ethiopian regime will be to set foot in Red Sea boundaries. It is a ruined historically. We need to correct it. Imagine this battle may be won by one soldier, and Ethiopian soldiers are maybe in Assab port. Do you think there aren't any superpowers trying to drive them off of that coast? Number 1, you eliminated Eritrean forces if you are a winner. Now you are alone. Now the people are upset more. Whatever people left, not good. Okay, Ethiopia lost the war, fragmented into pieces. Eritrea is not a country, Ethiopia is not a country, Sudan is not a country, Libya is not a country, Somalia is not a country. Kenya is also starting to have problems with Oromos in southern Ethiopia. South Sudan is not going to be a country, and Central African areas are also will have a problem. Is it really what we want? Come on, both Eritreans and Ethiopians know this. We are better than this. Enough of this war. So the path forward is unity through truth, economic strategy, and an end to foreign manipulation. If Ethiopia aggressively, because we have a prime minister who doesn't seem to know its capabilities, his abilities. Maybe it is dependent now on some other superpowers, some financiers pushing him to have the remaining soldiers at that boundary. Assume he's sick. Dear Eritreans, if it comes to push and shove, leave the area and move to your mountains and watch what happens. What are they going to do by occupying? Ethiopia itself is in turmoil. I would rather Eritrea to watch this carefully than engage with this madman. I'm sorry to say this, but a person can psychologically traumatize, can be crazy, and the whole nation go with it. Eritrea and Ethiopia do not have to repeat the mistakes of the past. The world is really watching, and foreign interests are waiting for us to destroy each other. But we have a choice. We can either walk into a future of endless conflict or take control of our own destiny through peace and strategic cooperation. That's the only way we can live in harmony. Ethiopian Hearts for Peace stands for truth, unity, and sovereignty in our region. Let us lead by wisdom, not by war. Let us speak the truth, even when it is difficult. Let us choose the path that ensures a future for our children, not just for our own time. Eritrea and Ethiopia, let us be strong together, not weak apart. I hope this message respects Eritrean sovereignty while presenting an alternative to war that benefits both nations. I'm trying here to deliver it in a calm, clear, and compelling way. I know how. I would like to acknowledge the regional chaos and foreign interference once more time. The Horn of Africa is on the brink of large-scale war. Like I said, Sudan is collapsing. South Sudan is unstable. Somalia is fighting Al-Shabaab. Kenya is facing internal ethnic conflicts, and the Gulf states are exploiting these vulnerabilities for their own interests. Egypt, UAE, and other Gulf states are playing a dangerous game. They are destabilizing countries like Libya and Yemen as we speak, and could be using Ethiopia and Ertrea a new battleground. So Ethiopia and Eritrea must recognize that their real enemies are not each other, but foreign powers that seek to divide and exploit them. So we need to expose the trap. Why Ethiopia and Eritrea must avoid war. War between Ethiopia and Eritrea will only serve external actors, not the people of either nation. A new war would destroy the possibility of economic development for both nations. It's useless. Give Egypt, UAE, and Saudi Arabia control over the Red Sea. That's all you will do. While Ethiopia and Eritrea fight each other, you're giving those ports for these people. War weakened both militaries, leaving them vulnerable to external interference. And it also could reignite ethnic fragmentation within Ethiopia, causing further instability. Ethiopians, one more time, and Eritreans must ask, who benefits of Addis Ababa and Asmara are destroyed? We have seen what happened to Khartoum. Why is Egypt always promoting war between Ethiopia and its neighbors? Think about it. Why should Eritrea fight Ethiopia when the real threat to Eritrean sovereignty is external meddling? There has to be the truth, alternative. A peaceful regional pact, that's what I am saying. Instead of war, a diplomatic truth deal must be put forward between Ethiopia and Eritrea to ensure stability and mutual benefit. This means non-aggression agreement. Ethiopia and Eritrea must sign a binding non-aggression pact ensuring that Ethiopia does not militarily threaten Eritrea forever and respects its sovereignty. If they don't want to live together, Eritreans should be living by themselves, autonomously. Be it Tigrayans, Amharas, or Oromos, they need to be autonomous. That doesn't mean they need to be enemies to each other. Eritrea does not support forces destabilizing Ethiopia like it did in the past. The TPLF, OLF, and now they are saying Fano. I doubt it, but there are historical truth. So both countries work together to prevent foreign military bases too and interventions in the region. We also need to put caps for each region. It's not only Eritrea to be independent. Who knows? It could be next Tigray. It could be Oromo. It could be anything. Will there be peace? It's nearly impossible. But if we exercise it now with Eritrea, if we see its separation without good faith, the end is always conflict, war. So we need to focus on the economic side of it. Economic and trade cooperation must be signed. Instead of war, Ethiopia and Eritrea should cooperate economically. Period. Forget the politics. If I see one Tigrayan, another Eritrean there is no difference for me. They look alike. If you put one Amhara somewhere in Shoa or Walaga or somewhere else who is blood mixed, you wouldn't know he's Amhara until you talk to him. Or it's just that we are mixed. Ethiopia should secure fair port access, though. That is through negotiation, not force. Eritrea must understand those forces behind their struggle for independence. They have their own agenda. Keeping Ethiopia landlocked was their agenda. That's a historical fact. We arrived to conclusion. But whatever happened, happened. Whatever historical differences there is need to be discussed. Whatever legal means is remaining to solve this problem, be it at United Nations or other organization, it can be dealt with. So in having that port access, Eritrea should benefit from Ethiopia's trade flowing through its ports, boosting its economy. It's not only Ethiopia. Goods can pass through Ethiopia to whatever other African nation is. Joint infrastructure projects like railroads, roads, and energy. Ethiopia has also a lot to offer for Eritrea. All of this should be developed to link both nations. Red Sea Stability Pact needs to be formed. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, and Somalia should form a regional naval security pact, as if you see it in a little bigger picture, and block foreign military bases from controlling Red Sea routes. Yeah, we could have problems and backlashes with those foreign military pacts. We need to prevent Gulf states from using local conflicts to establish control over regional waters. I am saying it bluntly. They are everywhere. Petrol money is everywhere. So we need to ensure control over maritime resources instead of letting foreign powers dictate terms. In all, there has to be truth and historical justice. A joint Ethiopia-Eritrea Truth Commission should be established. It's not late. It should have been done long ago, but never happened. We need to document past conflicts honestly and openly, without propaganda. Acknowledge mutual suffering and betrayals on both sides, dead or alive. Through that, we need to focus on reconciliation and future stability, not revenge or blame. Again, I would like to have a direct message to the Eritrean people and leadership. Eritreans must understand, if Ethiopia and Eritrea go to war, neither side will win. Only Egypt, UAE, and the West will benefit. Ethiopian leaders must understand, war with Eritrea will destroy Ethiopia's chances for internal unity and economic recovery. Both countries must recognize their real enemies are not each other, but the foreign powers exploiting their divisions. And I'm not forgetting our own elites. Our own elites. There are some really garbage packed within each region, in Eritrea, be it in Tigray or elsewhere. Regardless, I have this final question. War or sovereign cooperation? To close the discussion, I am posing this question to the audience, whoever may be out there. Will Eritrea and Ethiopia allow themselves to be used as pawns in a foreign games of destruction? Think about it. Or will they choose a path of truth, economic cooperation, and Red Sea security? Will they? I want audiences to think critically. The real interest at play, and open the door for a new narrative of peace and cooperation rather than war. I also want Ethiopia and Eritrea to position themselves as sovereign partners, not enemies, ensuring that external forces do not dictate their future. The following is mainly for Ethiopians. My vision for Ethiopia: a strategic plan rooted in reality, truth, and unwavering commitment to justice. It is a roadmap for sustainable peace, national unity, and economic revival, ensuring Ethiopia not only survives but thrives. Truth, justice, and leadership ethics. 1. Ending the politics of deception. Ethiopia's greatest enemy has never been an ethnic group or foreign power. It has been the culture of deceit too. At the highest level of leadership, leaders have weaponized lies to divide people, erase history, and manipulate international opinion. If I were a leader, I would establish a National Truth Commission to investigate historical and ongoing atrocities, exposing the facts without fear or favor. Hold those responsible for war crimes accountable, ensuring justice is not selective or politically motivated. It is a given. I would ban ethnic-based political parties that fuel division and create alternative, meritocratic, ideology-driven movements focused on national progress, self-sustainability, just like Ertrea is doing right now. When I talk of Eritrea, because this is a topic, I want Eritreans also to hear it. Because what happened in Ethiopia affects them too. Who doesn't like peace? Number two, if I were a leader, there will be ethical leadership by example. Leadership is not about controlling people, but serving them to rebuild trust. I would publicly declare all personal assets and ban government officials from having hidden offshore accounts. Did you notice how many criminals are in the United States, in the Gulf, in Europe? They have millions of dollars. They buy houses cash. Maybe diaspora community can help me with this. It takes 30 years to pay a loan to buy a house in America. But they buy it cash and they live lavish life. Some of them don't work for their entire life. Whose money is that? So publicly declare all personal assets and ban government officials from having hidden offshore accounts. And I have the means to do that. Implement strict anti-corruption laws with severe penalties for theft of public funds. Conduct weekly public address where decisions are explained, every decision. And people are invited to debate policies transparently. Now, how many agricultural lands are sold in the back door? Who knows about those? And the lease agreement is 99 years. Addis Ababa sold out. Jimma, Bishoftu, so many other places are sold out. And they're still being sold. For what? To finance a war. That will never happen on my watch. In a national level, I will create a national unity and political restructuring. First thing I would do is abolishing Article 39. It doesn't do any good. The ethnic federalism modeled has failed Ethiopia. It has failed us. Article 39 of the current constitution, which allows for secession, has fueled division and instability. If I were a leader, a new constitution would be drafted, prioritizing regional autonomy without ethnic segregation. Provinces based on geography, not identity. That's again if I were a leader, but I will never be. I will establish a strong federal government if federalism is what the people want. I have another idea. But whatever government you call it, it would oversee national security, infrastructure, and foreign policy, while regions manage local governance. There will be a power decentralization anyway, without ethnic fragmentation. In another videos, I have a system of governance that never been seen before. It's called modular system of governance. It's a meritocratic system of elections. That's for another one. But regardless, and instead of centralizing power in Addis Ababa or fragmenting Ethiopia into ethnic mini-states, I would redefine a regional governance so that leadership is based on competency, not ethnic quotas. I would protect cultural identities while promoting an Ethiopia first mindset. Introduce a national service program where young Ethiopians work together across regions, fostering unity from an early age. The other is the security, sovereignty, and military reform. Restructuring the military will be, it should not be a tool for political oppression, but a force of national defense, correct? To reform the armed forces, I would depoliticize the military, ensuring promotions are based on merit, not political loyalty. Field marshal? A field marshal like that kind of personality and history? It's an insult. I will never do that. I would also establish elite counterinsurgency units to neutralize internal threats like armed militias. If my governance is good, fair, then those militias must be formed by external infiltration. So I'll use counterinsurgency units. If there is any question, I will be open to talk, to sort out the problem, whatever it may be. I will strengthen cyber and AI warfare capabilities to counter foreign intelligence operations and digital propaganda. Believe me, AI is the future. Cyber security is very important. About AI, you can use it for good or for bad. It's like a double-edged sword. If I manage to have peace, truth, and reconciliation with Eritrea, I will create a maritime and regional defense strategy. Yes, Ethiopia's lack of access to the Red Sea has left it vulnerable to economic blackmail. If I were a leader, I would pursue diplomatic negotiation with Eritrea for a long-term, mutually beneficial port access agreement. I would militarize Ethiopia's borders, including Eritrean borders, ensuring to foreign force takes advantage of instability, because I am forming a pact. That's my feeling. You touch Eritrea, Ethiopia should not remain silent. We're brothers. And then establish a regional alliance with countries that respect Ethiopia's sovereignty while reducing dependency on Western and Gulf states. I would rather eliminate it, not even reduce it. It takes time to get rid of those bastards. There will also be an economic revival and sustainable development. Industrialization and infrastructures are in my number one priority in this regard. Ethiopia cannot rely on foreign aid or agriculture alone. A true economic transformation requires massive investment in manufacturing and technology, reducing reliance on imports altogether. And instead of getting goods from far, I would use what Eritreans produce. Revive Ethiopia's railway and energy sectors to connect regions and boost industrial outputs. Imagine if Eritrea has 24-hour electricity using renewable energy, be it wind, solar, or from the Nile. It's very important Eritreans also take a look at that strategy. They will modernize themselves. They will make things. They will be able to sell those things to Ethiopians freely. Because an Eritrean will be the same to me as Tigrayan or an Amharan or Oromo, Somali, or Southern people, whoever may be. Because every region is autonomous. I'm not tribal. When both nations grow, and by prioritizing prefabricated eco-friendly housing to solve the household crisis efficiently, I will be able to house the homeless. How many people are homeless now in the name of corridor? These are people who lost so much. And also, there will be a resource nationalization and economic independencies. I'll nationalize every resource. Look at Tigray. It's pretty much autonomous right now. Where is the gold going? Will any farmer in Tigray now be able to farm those lands that are contaminated with cyanide? Not really. I don't want that to happen to any region, be it Gambela, Benishangul, Southern nations, Amara. I don't want to mention all of those, but anywhere in Ethiopia I would nationalize. Foreign powers exploit Ethiopia's resources while its people remain poor. To reclaim sovereignty, I would nationalize key industries, including mining, energy, and telecommunications, ensuring profits benefits the people. I would create a state-owned financial institution to protect Ethiopia from IMF and World Bank manipulation. I would introduce land ownership reforms, ensuring Ethiopians, not foreign investors, control their own soil. Having said that, Ethiopians privately can develop a competitive industry to nationalized industries. Let me tell you about this, about the role of AI and technology in governance too, because AI is the future. AI is autonomous intelligence or artificial intelligence, I don't know, call it. Number one, artificial intelligence or AI will be used for transparency and justice, because technology can be a tool of oppression or liberation. I would use AI to monitor government spendings in real time, preventing corruption. Create an AI-powered citizen governance platform where people report injustices without fear of retaliation. Establish AI-driven historical archiving, ensuring Ethiopia's history is preserved and not written for political purpose. Number two, I would also use AI in conflict resolution. And instead of politicians manipulating peace talks, AI-driven dialogue system would analyze grievances from all ethnic groups, including Eritreans, and propose unbiased solutions. Facilitate national reconciliation by ensuring no voice is silenced. In the diplomatic strategy and foreign policy, I would balance global powers. There will be a balancing of global powers. Ethiopia must avoid being a pawn, really, in global power struggles. I would negotiate a strategic partnership with China, Turkey, Russia, and others while reducing over-reliance on Western aid alone. And all of this will be done with care. Strengthen Pan-African alliances, ensuring Ethiopia leads, not follows, in African geopolitics. That starts by having Eritrea on its side, because nobody will understand Ethiopia more than Eritrea. Nobody will go and ask up front, wherever they may be, as a person. If they see Eritrean, they go there first. Yeah, that's Eritrean. Let me go and ask them for help. I would also end secret military agreements that allow foreign base on Ethiopian soil. I will not allow military base. I don't care which country. There is also a new colonial influence. I have a plan for countering it. The West and Gulf states have used economic and digital warfare against Ethiopia. To counter this, I would block foreign-backed digital IDs that control citizen movements. Right now, our prime minister, which I don't recognize, has deployed digital IDs and launched a state-controlled media network to counter Western propaganda. They will throw at you all they got through propaganda, media. Promote cultural and economic self-sufficiency, ensuring Ethiopia is not dictated by foreign NGOs. So if I were a leader, Ethiopia would not be a country begging for peace. It would be a nation truly commanding respect through strength, wisdom, and unity. We would no longer be defined by ethnic strife or external interference, but by innovation, justice, and self-reliance. And I really want the country to be known as a peaceful nation, a magnet for its own region. I have thought about this a million times. This vision is not a fantasy, truly. It is a necessity. Without bold leadership, Ethiopia will remain trapped in the same cycle of war, betrayal, and foreign exploitation. But with the right strategies, the right words, and the right collective will, Ethiopia can rise. So you know, I do not seek power. Truly, I swear, I don't. But I seek truth. If Ethiopia is to have a future, truth must prevail. Anyways, if I were to lead Ethiopia, I would rebuild it from the ground up, really, ensuring that its history, people, and sovereignty are preserved for future generations. Ethiopia must reclaim its peace, its places as a strong, independent, and unified nation, not through compromise, but through strength, wisdom, and truth. So, there is a vision here for Ethiopia. And leadership, truth, and path to unity is possible. When we say Ethiopia stands at a crossroads, we mean that Ethiopia is burdened by the weight of history, yet filled with immense potential. The country has suffered from cycle of conflicts, betrayal, and foreign interference, preventing it from achieving lasting peace, unity, and prosperity. Leadership has often been reactive rather than visionary. In the absence of a unifying national direction, has led, you see, a unifying national direction has to be set. We don't want to be led to internal divisions that external actors have exploited. If I were to lead Ethiopia again, my vision would be centered on truth, justice, sovereignty, and national prosperity, ensuring that Ethiopia's destiny is shaped by its people, not by internal factions or external forces. Think of it as a practical roadmap I wrote out for Ethiopia transformation. So addressing governance, security, economic recovery, technological advancement, and diplomacy, all of it. I wrote it down. But nobody will read it. To me, leadership must be based on truth and accountability, not deception and power struggles. What is the legacy for this current prime minister? You answer it. Ethiopia needs a moral leader who is guided by wisdom, historical truth, and national interest rather than self-preservation. This means restoring trust in governance, establishing a Truth and Reconciliation Commission immediately. That is to promote unity. So a leader must listen to the people and serve with integrity. This means eliminating leaders who have thrived on division and bloodshed and replacing them with those who put Ethiopia first. Look, Ethiopia's sovereignty has been repeatedly compromised, whether through foreign influence in politics, economic dependencies, or the erosion of national identity. To regain full control, there has to be a militarization of national unity. There has to be a rebuilding of national identity. There has to be a strategic economic independence. Ertrea has it now. For all of this, the government must cut ties with external powers that seek to control Ethiopia. Negotiation should be done from a position of strength, not desperation. Ethiopia needs alliances that respect its sovereignty, not ones that manipulate it. Eritrea can be that alliance, if carefully managed. Sudan too. Somalia too. Kenya too. The whole region, really. Why do I go too far to Europe, Americas, Asia? The country has suffered from ethnic-based violence, political assassinations, and war crimes. If justice is not swift and impartial, future conflicts will rise. So I say, war criminals must be held accountable, regardless of their political affiliation. Restorative justice should be prioritized, where grievances are addressed without further division. A new legal system based on Ethiopia's values must be created, independent from corrupt institutions that have long protected criminals in power. For all of this, the solution is a tribunal must be internationally recognized, but led by Ethiopians, ensuring no faction escapes accountability. In military and security reform, as discussed before, Ethiopia's military has often been used for internal power struggles. Look at it, it's like a militia. It's just moving from one town to another, rather than national defense. So a restructured professional military is needed. I know the current Prime Minister says all of those, but look at where it leaves them. I would depoliticize the armed forces to ensure they serve the nation, not individual political leaders. Build on elite, well-trained national forces capable of protecting Ethiopia's territorial integrity. Developing cyber and AI-driven defense systems, I don't go over it again, but that helps to counter external and internal threats. So the solution will be Ethiopia must modernize its defense system, ensuring it is prepared for regional conflicts without relying on external powers. Because this conflict, unless it is handled right, Ethiopia's internal problem will explode. The government must prioritize infrastructure projects that benefit Ethiopians rather than foreign investors. I would focus on Eritrea in a diplomatic and balanced relation as diplomacy and international relations. So Infrastructures will be aligned at the start. Roads will be connecting. Railroads will be connecting. Electric grids will be connecting. So Ethiopia must redefine its foreign policy to ensure that it is not a pawn of global powers. I cannot emphasize it enough. Strengthening regional alliance with countries that respect Ethiopia's sovereignty is very important. Neutralizing external threats is very important. A strategic partnership in trade, not dependency. You don't need to go too far. You can talk to Eritreans as if you should talk to Tigrayans, Amharas, or just like that. Unfortunately, that's the division now. But we need to talk. And no foreign or external players can dictate what I do. Eritrea has shown resilience. So a firm, self-reliant foreign policy is the key to securing Ethiopia's future, believe it or not. If you tell me Ethiopia has been a never colonized nation, I would say yes. Is it really free now? There is a so-called neocolonialism. Am I going to pay a debt that this government borrowed to buy weapons, AI warfare, drones, and bombed its own people? In fact, I'll turn around and sue those if there is international court. Other than that, there will be no recognition of all debts from IMF, World Bank. What will they do? Sanction me. I think enough for borrowing. To do all of this, there should be a political and constitutional reform, and we did that. Just to make sure you all know that I do not crave for power. I seek truth, justice, and wisdom. The idea of using AI as a practical source of aid is revolutionary, because AI can analyze complex political and military scenarios. I have tried it. It works. And it can make informed strategic decisions. That, all of it, with human oversight. It can also uncover hidden truth. Trust me. It can facilitate dialogue between divided groups, offering logical solutions without bias. Because without knowing me, what I say might be bitter to you. You will not be able to find impartial person these days. So I don't see myself as a leader, but my actions are pushing me really to find a leader that makes me help and participate in discussions or analyze the reality with. None of the elites really sum up to my standards. One thing I know, people will hate you when you speak of the truth. But truth is never loved by those who benefit from lies. You should know that. I know in leadership, one will be more resistant. There will be, if you are a leader, the more you resistance you face, the more you will know you are shaking the foundation of a corrupt system. You don't need to be at the front line with a little. You just need to keep going what you're doing and think ahead, exposing truth and building practical solutions. Because I believe that's how real change begins. Whoever is planning to lead, they have to have that mentality. Otherwise, the situation in Ethiopia and Eritrea right now is really dangerous. And it is a long, long, long way. We have best strategy, peace. Peace. Let me tell you about peace. Let me go back maybe a little more. Ethiopia's military expansion into Eritrea would invite foreign intervention, that making a full Red Sea conflict almost inevitable if the current war is allowed to happen. Number two, without naval power, Ethiopia cannot secure its supply chains or counter an Egyptian-Saudi naval blockade. Even if Ethiopia wins on land, the economic and military costs would be devastating, potentially destabilizing the country again. A prolonged conflict would benefit foreign actors. Like I say, the United States, China, Turkey, beat anybody who seek to control the Red Sea through Djibouti. The best case scenario for Ethiopia is a diplomatic breakthrough that grants maritime access without war. But this requires unprecedented regional cooperation. Instead of war, Ethiopia could negotiate a Red Sea corridor with Eritrea under international supervision if that's necessary. Strengthen internal unity before engaging in an external conflict. Talk to those people fighting. In the long term, not yesterday or today with no water, develop naval capabilities in the long term to secure maritime interests. That is, if you do it peacefully. If it comes to really a hammering action by Egypt or Saudi influence in the Red Sea, we can use other superpowers. We can leverage global superpowers until we are on our feet. So there are a lot. Even if you win, Ethiopia's new maritime route could come under constant Egyptian, Saudi surveillance and blockade threats. How do you counter that? You don't have any warships. If Ethiopia manages to push into Eritrea truly and take Asab or Misawa, yes, it would gain strategic maritime, but can it keep it? How are you going to fix the economy? Because the war would likely devastate the economy and lead to prolonged foreign military presence in the region. You can't fight them. They will just come and sit in Misawa. They can shoot from far away from some ships with missiles. If Eritrea collapses, China may try to protect its investment in the region, potentially using its naval base in Djibouti. Didn't you know that? If Ethiopia gains too much power, the West might side with Egypt and Saudi Arabia to maintain balance. Because the US and China have deep economic stakes in the Red Sea. Don't forget that. They might intervene, both diplomatically or militarily. Why do you think you are landlocked to begin with? So I say, if I could really create scenario and break it down to you. Let's say Ethiopia mobilize 4 million troops and secure internal power sharing. I'm just saying 4 million troops out of 120 million. Let's say Ethiopian federal forces consolidate power and manage to broker a power sharing agreement with TPLF, Fano, Ola, and others. Let's say that happened. This allows the government to retain control over the federal system, correct? This should again be while granting regional autonomy. The Ethiopian government then turns its attention toward potentially targeting Eritrea, a historical revival. Potentially. That's a scenario. Another scenario will be Tigray forces attempt to expel Eritrean forces from the border. TPLF, now ruling Tigray autonomously, right, seeks to push Eritrean forces out of border areas. Remember, historic animosity between Eritrea and TPLF resurfaces, creating a pretext for a renewed war. How many people should die with this? Ethiopia's mechanized forces in Afar near Assab could signal a broader campaign against Eritrea. And then Eritrea is not going to sit idle when all of this happens. Eritrea calls the foreign support. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Somalia, be it. Eritrea, feeling threatened, may invite foreign military backing to counter Ethiopia. Egypt and Saudi Arabia have strategic interests in preventing Ethiopian dominance over the Red Sea. That's for long, they say, historical enemies. Sudan, already at odds with Ethiopia, could align with Eritrea too. Somalia, which has security ties to Eritrea, could also be drawn into that. This could turn the conflict into a regional war. So the Red Sea becomes a global background with this scenario. Egypt and Saudi Arabia deploy naval forces to block Ethiopian military movements and supply lines in the Red Sea. The US, China, and Turkey, all of whom have military bases in Djibouti, could be drawn into the conflict. So Djibouti may align with Egypt and Saudi Arabia, meaning with Eritrea, given its hosting of international military powers, because if Ethiopia secures a port via Ertrea, Djibouti's interest will be touched. So if Ethiopia attempts to secure maritime access via Eritrean ports, foreign naval forces could intervene. In this case, the most likely outcome will be, number one, Ethiopia faces a two-front war, internal and external. If Ethiopia enters an external war with Eritrea, its internal stability could collapse again, despite the power-sharing agreement. Ola, TPLF, and Fano may turn against the government if they feel Ethiopia is overextending itself militarily. Ethiopia will be stretched between domestic and foreign threats, creating a severe vulnerability. Egypt and Saudi Arabia use naval powers to choke Ethiopia. Ethiopia has no navy, so cannot project force into the Red Sea. Egyptian and Saudi naval forces could block Ethiopian military movements and strike supply lines inside Eritrea. So without a maritime presence, Ethiopia will struggle to sustain military operations against foreign blockade Eritrean forces. When superpowers step in to prevent full-scale regional war, in itself is war. The US and China have deep economic stakes in the Red Sea, like I said. So they might intervene. So it grows and grows. So we need to be careful what we wish for. That's why I say Ethiopia stands at a crossroads. The next 6 to 12 months will determine whether Ethiopia becomes a fractured battleground or can somehow hold together. Right now, the probability leans towards a fragmented, prolonged conflict rather than a decisive victory for any single group. This is not exaggeration. However, based on historical patterns, ethnic tensions, and foreign interference, Ethiopia is more likely to enter a prolonged, nasty period of instability rather than achieve a quick resolution. Why do we have to go through all of this instead of just sit down and talk? People say transitional government. Why don't they try that? And then agree on a national vision. So the only way to avoid full collapse for Ethiopia to prevent turning into another Syria, Libya, or Somalia, Fano must unite. A national vision must be agreed upon. A transitional government must emerge. That is inside the front. Because I say this, well, maybe it is too much to talk about this. Based on the facts on the ground and the what if analysis I did, the most likely outcome in the near future is a gradual collapse of central authority leading to prolonged conflict and fragmentation. This outcome is the most probable because the national army is weakening and disintegrating. You can see reports indicate heavy losses, mass desertion, and increased reliance on poorly trained militias. The government is using desperate measures, such as enlisting militias and even reportedly targeting families of opposition leaders. How on earth are you arresting a wife with kids because the father is a faction leader and put her into jail? Once an army starts falling apart, rebuilding it under the same leadership is nearly impossible. I would say, if I can see Fano is gaining ground, but still divided. While Fano is making military gains, the ideological split between Amhara first and Ethiopianist factions could turn into a major internal struggle. I see the final problem is Amhara first versus Ethiopianist. But both lead to rebuilding Ethiopia. If Fano does not overthrow the government, the internal division could lead to second phase of conflict between different Fano groups themselves too. Ethnic conflict will not end anyways. The ethnic federalist system has created deep-seated grievances that cannot be undone overnight. Other armed groups like Oromo Liberation Army, Tigray elements, Sidama, and other local militias may take advantage of the power vacuum. Even if Fano wins, ethnic tensions will persist, making long-term peace difficult. I say this because some believe that this is Oromo-led government, so we see how it's conducting itself. We have seen how the TPLF, Tigray-led government was, so they will not have majority public acceptance per se. Fano is being tested now. That's why I'm focusing on Fano. Now that's internal. The problem with Fano, it is from Amhara. Foreign powers will not allow full Amhara or Ethiopian's victory. It doesn't matter which one. The West, the Gulf states, China and Turkey all have economic and strategic interest in Ethiopia. If one group, such as Fano, dominates, foreign actors may intervene covertly or overtly to prevent total victory and keep Ethiopia divided. Just watch. After all of this fighting, you topple the government. These people will not sleep. They will not let it go. Neighboring countries like Eritrea itself and Egypt may use this moment to advance their own agendas. Eritrea is the key. Oh, people are not able to eat these days. The economy will spiral into collapse, triggering more chaos. Because the war is disrupting trade as we see it right now. Agriculture is disrupted as we see it now. And infrastructure is also blocked. All of it is being in a room. A weak government or no government means hyperinflation, mass unemployment, and further migration. But where will people go? The whole region will be at war. The black market and war economy will thrive, but ordinary citizens will suffer the most. So, most likely end game, in short to medium term, there will be a power vacuum. A power vacuum develops, and the government continues to weaken and loses control of vast regions. Fano expands but fractures internally. Different factions will compete over leadership and strategy. Other armed groups exploit the chaos, OLF, TPLF remnants, and smaller groups. Foreign mediation attempts, but with hidden agendas though. They will come as the mediators. Gulf states, China, Turkey, and the US will try to shape the outcome of their favor. So there will also be no immediate democratic transition. military rule or some form of authoritarian governance is more likely than a democracy. Whoever wins with this war. So they need to sit down and talk first. Ethiopia needs to unite itself first, and then go to Eritrea and present its grievances, and be ready to listen, and diplomatically negotiate how to create economic ties, respect, and create a security pact. I don't know. I think I should stop. My projection in general is survival depends on how much geopolitical value Abiy Ahmed retains. But if he loses his usefulness to global actors, he will either be eliminated or abandoned. Ethiopia is more than just a local crisis. It is geopolitical chess piece. Don't forget that. With that, I leave you, and I thank you very much. And again, my name is Abebe. On behalf of Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. Thank you.